Candidates advancing to the November vote.
Former RNC Chair Michael Whatley will face former North Carolina Roy Cooper in November. We'll have reaction from Whatley coming up, as well as his message to supporters.
It is a tight race right now for who will become Mecklenburg County's next sheriff. I'm Caroline Boyer, live in Charlotte at an election night party, tracking the latest results of that contest as they come in.
Safety is our top priority, especially the safety of children and pedestrians.
And questions about the auto taxis that will soon begin service in Charlotte, what officials and the company are saying about incidents and investigations involving Waymo vehicles.
Queen City News starts now.
Thanks for joining us at 10 tonight on this busy election night. I'm Brian Blakely. We are following the statewide and the local elections across North Carolina. The results tonight will determine who are going to be in November's general election for the midterms. Some contests will be final for the next term. Full coverage tonight. I want to get right out to Queen City News anchor Caroline Boyer. She is tracking a heated Democratic primary race for the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. But we begin with Queen City News chief political correspondent Andy Weber covering the all-important Republican and Democratic primaries for U.S. Senate, hoping to fill Tom Tillis' seat. And Andy, we had no surprises here tonight.
Yeah, Brian, things have quieted down, but it was a loud celebratory room here at Noble Smoke in West Charlotte as Michael Whatley declared his victory in the candidacy for the GOP primary for North Carolina U.S. Senate seat. He wasted no time going after his opponent in November, former Governor Roy Cooper. Here's what he had to say.
You know, for 8 years, Roy Cooper had a choice: stand with law-abiding families or give in to the radical left. And for 8 years, Roy Cooper sided with the radical left. I will work every day to earn the trust of every North Carolinian who wants safer streets, affordable living, and a stronger future.
As of 10 p.m. tonight, Whatley led his next closest GOP challenger, Don Brown, by more than 200,000 votes. That's with 80% of precincts reporting. This race is expected to be an expensive one. Experts predicting that more than $500 million will be spent on campaigning and messaging ahead of the general in November. This seat will have the attention of the nation as Democrats are trying to flip the seat blue and get closer to securing a majority in the Senate. Whoever wins the seat will replace Tom Tillis, who's set to retire come the end of his term. And we expect to hear from Whatley again sometime tomorrow morning here in Charlotte, as he is promising to hold a major news conference. Reporting live in West Charlotte, I'm Andy Weber, Queen City News.
Yeah, Andy, certainly going to heat up ahead of November for this race for sure. One of the most watched across the country. Thanks for reporting tonight out there in West Charlotte in the Democratic Senate primary. Former Governor and Attorney General Roy Cooper securing his party's nomination. He easily defeated 5 challengers tonight. Cassie Fambro was at Cooper's watch party in Raleigh, and she shows us the scene of this big win tonight and shares the plan that Cooper is carrying into his bid for the Senate.
There is a healthy dose of celebration in the Roy Cooper camp tonight as the votes went their way, but this was largely expected, and the celebration will be short-lived. In his acceptance speech for the Democratic nomination for Senate, he did start attacking his opponent, Michael Whatley, saying that he does not understand the economics of being a middle-class American right now. He also said that overnight gas prices went up and pointed to other discrepancies like the higher cost of groceries, really taking this opportunity to hit home that he wants to work for the middle-class American. He also touched on bipartisanship, saying that he would work with President Donald Trump as much as he could, but that he was not afraid to stand up to him as needed if he is indeed elected senator. Really, the theme tonight, the next 8 months are going to be busy for the Cooper campaign. They intend to hit the ground running first thing tomorrow, debuting their Make Stuff Cost Less campaign. And that really all centers on those everyday American purchases like that gas and groceries and other necessities that cost more than they used to. Again, he'll launch that program tomorrow. and really spend every day until November trying to hammer home why he is the better candidate to represent North Carolinians in the Senate in this critical election that has national consequences and is shaping up to be one of the most expensive races in the country.
Democratic primary for Mecklenburg County Sheriff has been tight all night. 4 candidates, but it's coming down to embattled incumbent Gary McFadden and former CMPD Sergeant Ricky Robbins. Very tight race. McFadden kind of holding on right now with about 80% of the precincts reporting. I want to get right out to Queen City News anchor Caroline Boyer. She is live at the Robbins watch party. Caroline, whoever wins is going to be the next sheriff, but how is Robbins the mood there with that camp so far right now?
Brian, there's a lot of optimism still. I'm going to step out of the way and give you a glimpse inside the election night party in this room. There have been some hoops and hollers, but right now people are kind of sitting down. All eyes are on this screen where they're projecting the election results as those precincts are reporting. We also have some video that we shot earlier in the night of people mingling with Robbins. Like you said, Brian, he has 30 years of law enforcement experience with CMPD, and right now he and current Sheriff Gary McFadden are separated by fewer than 3,000 votes. That's about a 2% difference. I did catch up with Robbins not too long ago, and he said the big focus of his campaign, if he ends up winning and becoming the sheriff, is to improve morale. Of course, there has been some recent drama with the sheriff between his having to testify in front of state lawmakers in the wake of the light rail stabbing and the petition to have him removed from office, which has since been dismissed. But this is what Robbins had to say when I talked with him earlier.
Appreciate the support, appreciate everybody backing me. It's been a nice ride, and I think that from what I've seen and the way that people have responded to me, they're ready for change, and I'm the change they want.
So still a lot of optimism here that there could potentially be that change. I did stop by Gary McFadden's election night watch party a few hours ago. When I had left there shortly after 8:30, he had not shown up yet. But again, this is a very, very tight race. People here are holding on to that hope because not all of those precincts have reported yet, and we will keep you updated as we learn who is going to become the next sheriff of Mecklenburg County, Brian.
One of those two are going to be happy tonight, either Robbins or McFadden, and we'll be watching here as this goes on throughout the night. Caroline, thanks for staying out there with us. And there's going to be a new representative also for one of Mecklenburg County's state house districts in the Democratic primary for District 106. Reverend Dr. Rodney Sadler has unseated longtime lawmaker Carla Cunningham. She has faced harsh criticism over the past few months after backing a GOP measure to require North Carolina sheriffs to cooperate with ICE. Sadler had Governor Josh Stein's endorsement. Another hotly contested race is a Republican primary for State Senate District 26. Incumbent Phil Berger may be the most influential Republican in the General Assembly. He is being challenged by Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page. And Sheriff Page is leading right now with about 79% of the precincts reporting, 53% to 47%. And if Page goes on to win, this is certainly going to upset a lot of the power brokers in Raleigh, and that is one that we'll be following throughout the rest of this newscast and online at qcnews.com. We are also watching the Republican U.S. Senate primary in Texas. Incumbent John Cornyn is in a close race with State Attorney General Ken Paxton, with Congressman Wesley Hunt trailing behind, and some political analysts say this race in North Carolina's could influence which party controls the Senate this fall. We'll have more election results at the bottom of your screen and also on our website, qcnews.com. Driverless cars are coming to Charlotte, but the company's robo-taxis are raising safety questions elsewhere in the U.S. Queen City News reporter David Schumann looks into what's caught the attention of federal investigators.
A mass shooting in Austin, Texas over the weekend, and this emergency vehicle couldn't get through.
Waymo, come on! Go!
A Waymo self-driving car doing a U-turn stopped in the middle of the road for about a minute and a half before a police officer helped clear it away. Austin's EMS chief says the delay didn't have an impact in the grand scheme of things, but a Waymo spokesperson says the company plans to learn from the situation. With driverless Waymos coming to Charlotte soon, we asked the city's first responders how they're feeling about it. A spokesperson with Charlotte Fire said we try to give new technologies and partners a fair opportunity to operate before forming or sharing concerns publicly. As the technology continues to expand, we remain focused on maintaining strong communication and coordination with any partners operating on Charlotte's roadways. The National Transportation Safety Board released reports Tuesday about 2 incidents involving Waymos in January. In Texas, a robocar illegally passed a stopped school bus picking up children. 5 human-driven vehicles did the same thing. Waymo's chief safety officer addressed this at a congressional hearing last month.
And we have already incorporated many changes to our software to dramatically improve our performance. But we do safely navigate thousands of school bus encounters every single week, and we're continuously learning and improving because our work is safety is never done.
In California, a Waymo hit a child who ran across a street in a school zone. The girl was okay, and company officials say the car reacted and slowed down more quickly than a human driver. In fact, Waymo says its data shows their cars are 10 times less likely to be involved in a serious crash than human drivers, and 12 times less likely to hit a pedestrian. Their vehicles have driven nearly 200 million miles in the handful of cities they operate in.
Naturally, we wanted to try to ride in a Waymo to see what it's like, so we downloaded the app, but we were told we need an early access invite code to do that. Sadly, we are not one of the lucky ones.
Waymo hasn't announced when they'll launch their robotaxis in Charlotte. David Schumann, Queen City News.
Taking a drive around the Queen City earlier today involved some clouds. We saw a little bit of sunshine late in the day, but temperatures back on the cooler side. However, that's about to change big time. Starting tomorrow, how much warmer we'll get by the end of the week. That's next.
As of today, I'll be informing leadership that I'm putting a hold on any en-bloc nominations until I get a response.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem gets a bipartisan grilling on Capitol Hill. What North Carolina's Tom Tillis is saying about the controversial cabinet member. And in her next half hour, highlighting remarkable women. The Charlotte woman who says that she's in the middle of the most important job of her life.
Coming up on CSL at 11, the Hornets welcomed in the Dallas Mavericks to town as Charlotte. They were eyeing their 5th straight win, so we'll have the update on that. Plus, we are 100 days away from the biggest tournament in the world, the FIFA World Cup. And we brought in a legend to help us break down what we'll see. All of that and more coming up at 11.
I thought you were talking about March Madness there for a second. Oh, talking about soccer. All right. Gia, we'll see you in just a little bit. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte.
I'm expecting answers to Charlotte's Web. I requested it a month ago. That was one of the investigations in Charlotte, 20 minutes from where I live.
That is North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis as he, along with other lawmakers, grilled Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem today. That hearing lasted 4 hours plus on Capitol Hill, and this comes as the Homeland Security Department is partially shut down in a Capitol Hill fight over funding. Kristen Eskow shows us the fireworks.
During an oversight hearing, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem blasted Democrats as the DHS shutdown enters its third week.
The latest Democrat-led shutdown of DHS is reckless, it's unnecessary, and it undermines the American national security.
Democrats have called for funding all DHS agencies except those handling immigration enforcement as lawmakers discuss their demanded reforms.
It is the administration that is holding those agencies hostage.
Noem did not retract her statements, calling Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists after they were shot by federal immigration officers in Minnesota.
Do you retract these statements?
We always offer our condolences to those families, and I offer mine as well. These are tragic situations.
Republicans largely defended ICE.
I'd like to make sure if there was a bad shooting, it's documented as such and people pay a price. But we're not going to stop because America is under siege.
The grilling turned bipartisan as Noem faced pushback from 2 senators of her own party.
Under your leadership, Ms. Noem, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens.
Senator Tom Tillis threatened to hold up Senate business if Noem does not respond to his submitted questions about immigration activity in North Carolina. In Washington, I'm Kristen Eskow.
Stocks fell today as oil prices rise following the conflict in the Middle East, and this came as the fighting showed signs of escalation during the 4th day. The Dow lost 403 points while the Nasdaq dropped 232. The S&P 500 fell 65 points. Experts are saying the Iran war is directly to blame for the increase at the pump, and while the national average jumped 11 cents, prices in North Carolina are up even more at 15 cents a gallon. Dr. Matthew Metzger is a UNC Charlotte economics professor. He says about 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has shut down during the fighting. A AAA spokesperson says although we don't import oil from Iran, crude oil accounts for more than half of what we see at the pump.
Have an ample amount of supply domestically. So that's not really the issue. The issue is when you have any kind of geopolitical, tensions, anything like that, the oil market has a reaction.
Analysts say expect to pay more over the summer travel season. Let's get to the weather right now and take a live look over Gastonia. That cool start to the week is about to come to an end. 51 degrees, but as we're talking to here, Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane, we're going to be way out of the 50s over the next few days, especially when we come Friday, right?
Yes, come Friday, we're talking about record warmth. It looks like once again those highs soaring into the 80s for several days too. We'll be up around 80 degrees. So if you love the warmer weather, we have it coming.
We got it coming for you. And also daylight saving time as well.
That's right. That's right. So we've got the time change coming up this weekend. So that's when we lose that precious hour of sleep and roll the clocks ahead 1 hour. They go ahead, of course, so many of them by themselves on their phone and everything overnight and at 2 a.m. on early Sunday morning. So warming up the rest of the week. And unfortunately, because we're talking so much about the fact that we need some rain with the severe and extreme drought conditions like out here in downtown Monroe and Union County, we're not looking at real high rain chances, although a couple of showers, maybe even a thunderstorm could get back into the weather picture toward the end of the weekend. So we'll talk about that too. But right now, temperatures cool outside, kind of chilly. We've got mid and upper 40s from Concord heading up through Salisbury there, 49 degrees in Statesville. As Brian said, about 51 in the Queen City, 44 in Wadesboro. And we've got those lower and mid 40s up in the higher elevations. We did make it up to 58 today. It was nice to see some breaks of sunshine, a little bit of blue sky here and there. We're going to see a lot more of that by tomorrow afternoon. So still coming in a touch below normal. 40 was the low this morning, and we'll settle a little more into the 40s for more of us into tomorrow morning. But any rain, even though we still have some cloudiness around, any rain is staying up to our north along with that stalled front. So out the door in the morning could be foggy for some of you too. So keep that in mind. We'll have some areas of patchy fog. No need for the umbrella. Some cloudiness too. So we're talking about extra sunshine tomorrow. It may not start that way for a lot of you in the morning. We're down to about 48 degrees in the Charlotte area. The wind stays nice and calm. You can see future visibility numbers, how we have those lowering visibility and maybe some more widespread fog expected more south and east of, say, the I-85 corridor in the Charlotte area before it goes away and back to that brightening sky tomorrow afternoon. Warm up courtesy of this ridge of high pressure that is pushing the wind out of the south and west and boosting our temperatures some 20 plus degrees above normal eventually by the end of the week. Tomorrow's high 75 degrees after starting out in the 40s and 50s early in the morning, but already if you're headed out to lunch tomorrow, approaching 70 degrees. So maybe a nice day to sit and enjoy that lunch or dinner outdoors if you're eating early enough for dinner time before the sun goes down. But 7 o'clock in the morning, definitely looking a little brighter here for you all up in the foothills and areas north and west of Charlotte. Again, the best chance of seeing just that cloudy start and areas of fog more south and east. The Charlotte area and I-85 corridor will have some scattered clouds in the mountains for tomorrow afternoon. Then it's back to sunshine, but then the clouds roll back in for early Thursday and then break apart a little more, kind of a partly cloudy sky, but still dry into Thursday afternoon. Mentioning those shower and storm chances by the end of the week. Look at this mountain forecast warming up for you all into the lower 70s for a few days, but with the approach of another front, we'll pick up likely some scattered showers, maybe a few storms there for the weekend. We'll see a higher chance in the mountains. And so some slightly higher rainfall totals, maybe closer to the 1-inch range right there, closer to the Tennessee state line. But overall, those high rainfall totals, and this even takes it out over the next 7 days, look to stay more north and west. And so no significant amounts of rain expected around here, most of our area anytime real soon. But we do have, again, those at least minor shower and isolated storm chances by the end of the weekend with that front. Otherwise, we are just feeling the warmth, 70s the next couple of days and lower 80s. That 82 on Friday, that would break the record of 80 degrees.
Controversy in Fort Mill tonight after a chemical spill at Silfab Solar, what the company is saying after state regulators halted operations. And a wild collision in Texas, the cleanup after a hot air balloon crash. Stay right there. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. Operations are temporarily halted at the controversial Silvab solar facility in Fort Mill. Hazardous crews this morning responded to reports of a spill containing more than 1,500 gallons of potassium hydroxide. Company later said it was only 300 gallons, all contained at the facility's retention pool. State Environmental Services officials still stepped in, ordering the facility to halt its operations until an investigation can be completed. Queen City News reporter Matt Stell spoke to residents and leaders who are not happy about the spill.
York County Emergency Management, Fort Mill Public Schools, and Silvab Solar all say that there is no danger to the public after that chemical spill this morning at their facility here in Fort Mill, but neighbors and even an elected official tell us this is exactly why they want Silvab gone.
It's insane. This is like a Aaron Brockovich kind of movie.
Concerned neighbor Scott Jensen says he hates to say, "I told you so."
I've never spoken to one person in Fort Mill that think this is a good idea or that it's legal.
Jensen is part of the group that has been pushing to get Silvab Solar out of Fort Mill for more than 2 years.
And we already knew they had some kind of chemicals. We didn't know what.
The company, which manufactures solar cells, now says only 300 gallons of potassium hydroxide were spilled Tuesday morning after initially reporting to York County Emergency Management that the spill involved more than 1,500 gallons of the skin-burning chemical.
This is the call I never wanted to receive.
York County Councilwoman Debbie Cloninger represents the area where Silvab is located.
It was the wrong location from day one.
Cloninger says while she understands accidents happen, thinking about the chance of dangerous chemicals getting into nearby homes or schools keeps her up at night.
The most important thing is the 1,900 children in the 2 schools that are around 300 feet away from this company.
Fort Mill school officials say because there wasn't a threat to the nearby Flint Hill Elementary, they believe there was no need to evacuate the campus, but they tell us they'll still review Tuesday's response. Meanwhile, the Silvab facility has been far from controversy, with a January study from the University of South Carolina finding that the worst-case chemical spill could result in serious injuries or even death in nearby neighborhoods, something Silvab still strongly disputes.
Pay attention to those who are favoring money over students' health, over children's health, and the health of our community.
Queen City News requested an on-camera interview with Silvab, but they declined and referred us to a statement. In Fort Mill, Matt Stell, Queen City News.
The director of South Carolina's Environmental Services Department sent a letter to Silvab in the wake of this morning's incident. Myra Reese says the state believes it's appropriate for the company to halt receiving chemicals and pause its startup efforts until an investigation is done. Silvab Solar representatives sent us a statement later this afternoon saying they are working with state and local officials to investigate the spill and take steps to prevent it from happening again. York County leaders also issued a statement late today saying they followed safety plans already in place and provided an immediate response to the Silvab incident. The fighting escalating in the Middle East, what members of Congress are hearing about the status of the Iran war, and she went from a life of investigative reporting to another way of serving the community in tonight's Remarkable Woman profile. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. We continue to follow that very close Democratic primary for Mecklenburg County Sheriff tonight. It is coming down to embattled incumbent Gary McFadden and former CMPD Sergeant Ricky Robbins. 34% to 31% right now, 86% of the precincts reporting as McFadden holding on. Let's get back out to Queen City News anchor Caroline Boyer live at the Robbins Watch Party in South Park. And Caroline, this race is just down to a few percentage points with not a lot of votes that are out there right now.
Yeah, Brian, fewer than 3,000 votes separate the two candidates, and there is still a lot of hope here. I'm going to move out of the way and show you into the party. There is still optimism, but people are kind of seated and quiet right now. All eyes have been on the screen, which is currently not working, but up until this point, it's been displaying the precinct numbers as they've been coming through. I did catch up with Robbins a little bit earlier, and he was excited. He says he thinks that Mecklenburg County voters are ready for change. I also went to the McFadden watch party, and McFadden was not there when I left, but I know that he is also feeling confident. It is important to note that whoever wins tonight will become the next Mecklenburg County Sheriff because there are no Republican challengers in this race. So again, only about 3,000 votes, a little less than that actually, separating Gary McFadden and Ricky Robbins. Brian.
Yeah, certainly a race that has been hotly contested, especially with McFadden looking like he's going to hold on for right now. And I know Ricky Robbins certainly was very passionate about his campaign, leaving CMPD to do this. And we'll keep tracking it for you. And I know you'll be out there as well, Caroline. Appreciate it. New video tonight shows the aftermath of an Iranian drone attack in the U.S. consulate in Dubai. That drone crashed into a parking lot of the facility, causing a small fire. Nobody got hurt. And it is one of the latest airstrikes between Iran and the U.S. since the American Israeli military forces hit Tehran and other targets. As Margaret Chadbourne reports tonight, House and Senate lawmakers got a briefing today on the conflict.
The president and his administration are focused on selling the war in Iran and convincing members of Congress to stand behind their actions.
It was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it.
President Trump defended the war in Iran, insisting from the Oval Office the country posed an imminent threat to the U.S. The president, during a meeting with the German chancellor, took questions from reporters. As the operation, now in its fourth day, quickly intensifies. The president says there are signs of progress.
We've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down. U.S.-led military strikes and those from Israel continue to target Iran's navy and infrastructure. New explosions are going off in the Middle East, with Iran retaliating and firing attacks on U.S. allies. More American troops and jets are being deployed to join the fight. On Capitol Hill, the administration is briefing members of Congress Tuesday. Democrats question the president's justification for starting the war in the first place.
This is not a defensive war. This is not a necessary war. This is a war of choice.
Still, most Republicans support the president's war, citing concerns about Iran's nuclear programs.
That was a huge concern, is that a country that for nearly 50 years says death to America has a long-range nuclear capability, and that was a red line.
One big question as the war goes on, will it possibly involve boots on the ground? Now, the president says he is not ruling that out, but for now, he's focused on those military airstrikes. Reporting in Washington, Margaret Chadbourne.
Members of the House Ethics Committee are investigating South Carolina Congresswoman candidate Nancy Mace. The Republican candidate for governor is facing allegations she tried to profit off a program meant to reimburse lawmakers for housing costs. A new report from the Office of Congressional Budget complains that Mace was paid about $9,500 beyond the actual costs of her D.C. home. She denies the claim, with her lawyer calling the report, quote, fundamentally flawed. Police in Austin say a third victim, 30-year-old Jorge Pedersen, has died after a weekend mass shooting at a nightclub. Friends are remembering Pedersen as someone who was active in Austin mixed martial arts scene. One of the people he trained at the gym with was Walker Nunez.
I think he was also there to make sure that he was building and adding to the team. So that was something that before anything, I was already kind of thinking, man, this guy George is really cool.
Prosecutors say they do not plan to pursue charges against the officers who killed the gunman after Sunday morning shooting, calling them heroes. We told you about concerns about Waymo's self-driving vehicles. San Francisco leaders held a hearing on the company and its cars last night over a December 20th incident. A power outage in the city stopped thousands of companies' robo-taxis from working before the hearing. Protesters were on the City Hall steps calling for Waymo cars to be taken off the streets of San Francisco until safety issues are fixed. Company representatives defended the robo-taxis.
We have rolled out additional fleet-wide updates that give our vehicles even more context about regional outages, allowing them to understand when something like a blackout is occurring.
South Carolina Uber driver is facing criminal charges on accusations he fired a gun during an argument with passengers. It happened early Friday morning in Greenville County. Deputies say Jamal Rogers shot into the air at least once before driving off. Passengers were not hurt. Rogers is facing a charge of breach of peace of an aggravated nature. Other rideshare users say safety is a two-way street.
I did speak with an Uber driver one time who picked up a felon on the run. So I've heard from the driver's perspective that they also do fear for their safety.
Experts say you can reject a driver before booking a ride instead of taking the first one available. A cell tower company spent half their workday working to get a hot air balloon that crashed into a radio tower on Saturday and put it back on the ground. An FAA report says the Z-77 model got tangled up with a guide wire atop the 1,100-foot radio tower near Longview, Texas. Crews were planning to take the balloon down Sunday, but the wind pushed the project to Monday morning.
Well, late last year, Queen City News and its parent company Nexstar launched a campaign to feature remarkable women in our area all throughout this month. We asked you to tell us about the remarkable women in your life, and you answered. Mara Campolongo has worn many hats throughout her life. She was an investigative reporter in upstate New York and had a decades-long successful marketing career while fulfilling a dream of moving to the South. So after settling in Charlotte, a major family loss would lead her into the most important career of her life, serving the community. Here is Mara's remarkable story.
I love my community, and someday I'm going to do something for my community to give back. Someday I'm going to do something. And someday came.
This was something Mara said to her husband in the days after her beloved brother suddenly passed away. He had a massive heart attack at 46 years old. Mara and her brother were inseparable. He was the person she thought she knew everything about. He was a doctor, and while honoring him at his life celebration, countless people revealed something she never knew.
Where people told me that my brother helped him when they didn't have the resources to be able to get proper medical care. And it was the same story, only different people in different conditions. Someone may have lost their job, someone's wife had cancer, someone had fallen on hard times. And so the person would come up to me and say, Mara, you don't know me, but your brother. And then you could easily fill in the sentence. And I remember just sitting in that and saying to my husband, I have to honor his legacy.
Mara began volunteering at Levine Children's Hospital in Charlotte, asking the social workers there how she could help. It was Christmas time, and when she saw some of the wish lists for gifts, she noticed one thing missing: items for the parents and caregivers. She recalls a conversation with one of the moms.
And she said, Mara, I don't want your teddy bears. And so I said to her, what does that mean? I don't like teddy bears, first of all. I don't typically buy them as a present. I thought maybe you would need some useful things because you're in residence with your daughter while she's having chemo. And she said, that's it exactly, but so many people are bringing us teddy bears. And I said, okay, well, let's get beyond that.
So Mara delivered a laundry basket full of those needed items, like detergent or a special lotion for a skin rash that could only be found at one place.
That mom taught me what it was like to have a child with a diagnosis. And I peppered her with questions, and we talked at midnight when her daughter was sleeping, and we talked at 3 in the morning, and we talked constantly, and I learned what the journey was, and I realized we could help.
16 years ago, Mara, alongside her husband Neil, friend Brian Doolin, and a group of volunteers, started the Sandbox.
When you think of the Sandbox, you think of playing in the sandbox. It's fun. You have a childhood vision of it, or you think about the beach. And everybody's welcome in the Sandbox. It's a positive notion to be in the Sandbox.
The Sandbox supports families navigating life with a child diagnosed with a life-altering illness. They've done it through gatherings and celebrations like the Evening of Believing Prom, Someone Special Soiree after Valentine's Day, and the Weekend of Believing Gathering at the beach. They strive to create something bigger and better every year, like recently creating a program to help put kids through college.
I don't care what their age is, what their color is, what their creed is. We don't care what the diagnosis is, because doing stuff that matters trumps everything. And that is the ultimate focus of the Sandbox. Doing stuff that matters because everybody matters.
Everybody matters, including fellow female entrepreneurs. Mara is passionate about making Charlotte the best it can be, so she created the Impact Awards as a way to recognize and bring together women doing good in the community. Small business owner Adrienne Craighead was one of the finalists.
She has an impact on so many different levels of our community. She's making an impact on the families that she serves through the Sandbox. But more than that, the community that she's magnetized around the Sandbox, of people who are board members, of people who are donors and sponsors and supporters and just volunteers like me, I recognize that she's that ripple that starts at the center of the lake. And then as everything branches out, it just magnifies.
Adrienne first met Mara 10 years ago and has seen the joy of families and kids playing in the Sandbox.
But I remember being an attendee at one of these prom events and just witnessing the joy as people arrived and they were allowed to walk up the red carpet and have the crowds, which was us, their cheering and adoring fans, just welcome them and shower them with love. And we all went in together to celebrate life.
One of the most important things that I hope that we're able to impart on families is that joy and grief can really coexist.
And congratulations are in order for All right, and yes, like we were saying, congratulations are in order for Mara and the Sandbox. She is the 2026 Charlotte Remarkable Woman of the Year. Now, along with her mission, the Sandbox, she is also a wedding officiant, and she's going to pretty soon perform a micro wedding to a deserving couple. The bride's mother is facing terminal cancer and feared she wouldn't be present for her daughter's wedding. So if you'd like to get involved with the Sandbox, just go to their website, gotsandbox.org, and be sure to tune in next Tuesday night at 10 o'clock to meet one of our other Remarkable Women finalists. And we check the weather here tonight, and we have a big warm-up on the way for the rest of the week. Just how high those temps will go, that's next.
And a wild new angle of a Gastonia train crash. Why police say it's a crucial reminder. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. Gastonia police are releasing new video of a train collision with a semi. It happened during the snowstorm on January 30th. Officers say the train pushed the semi down the tracks nearly a half a mile. Authorities say this is a reminder about the importance of railway crossing safety, and they say drivers need to be aware there's a blue sign at every railroad crossing that shows a number to call if you ever get stuck on the tracks. Call the number that could be possibly helping stop an oncoming train. More than 400 people on average who die at railroad crossings each year. High-stakes antitrust trial is underway in New York between entertainment company Live Nation and the Justice Department. Federal prosecutors say the fallout from a Taylor Swift ticket meltdown shows the company should split from Ticketmaster. It has been 4 years since the site crashed during sales of Swift's Eras Tour. Justice Department attorneys are calling it evidence of a monopoly. They say Live Nation pressures concert venues to use Ticketmaster no matter the product quality or pricing. Live Nation lawyers say Ticketmaster was overwhelmed by the number of fans and bots ahead of Taylor Swift's tour. Still, the ticket meltdown prompted congressional hearings and measures aimed at protecting consumers.
Once was an easy, clear, reliable experience for fans to get online or walk up to a box office and buy tickets has turned into a confusing marketplace.
The antitrust trial is expected to last 6 weeks and feature testimony from Kid Rock, other artists, and Live Nation executives. Let's get back to the weather tonight. Looking live over Banner Elk in the mountains as we've got about 51 degrees here in Charlotte, but a little cooler up there. But the difference is going to be in tomorrow and what we're going to be looking for, maybe hopefully in the 60s and 70s in the mountains. Let's talk to Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane and just how warm are we going to get later this week?
So up in the mountains, they're going to be approaching 70 by tomorrow afternoon. And even, I mean, they have a few days, not just one day, a few days in the 70s coming up there in the higher elevations. It is. And speaking of in bloom, I know so many people I know just in our very own newsroom just already sniffling and sneezing and feeling that spring pollen and allergy season really kicking in. That pollen count really going to be in the high zone, as you can probably imagine, with the warmth and the addition of more sunshine too coming up through the end of the week. So big warm up ahead for tonight, though. Yes, it's still kind of cool, chilly out there, and we still have some of that lingering moisture when it comes to leftover clouds up in the sky. We'll see maybe a little more of those filling in while we're sleeping tonight and into early tomorrow, and some areas of dense fog even in spots too to kick off the day tomorrow. Right now it's a cool 51 in the Queen City with a south-southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So that wind has shifted out of the warmer direction. That's going to work with more sunshine to give us that boost in temperatures tomorrow. We've got 41 degrees in Albemarle, still around 50 there. Off to the east in Chesterfield County, Rockingham's at 48, 46 degrees. Rock Hill, Fort Mill down through Lancaster, mid-upper 40s up and down the 321 corridor, heading up into the foothills, and low and mid-40s in the higher elevations. But any cloudiness that we're seeing, not looking at any rain coming out of the clouds. All of that is staying closer to this kind of slow-moving, at times stalled front up to the north. So again, the only issue you may run into weather-wise tomorrow morning, in particular areas south and east of the I-85 corridor, south and east of Charlotte here, traveling along Highway 74, Anson County, Richmond County, and down into South Carolina. We could run into some areas of fog before that goes away, and it's back to the brightening sky into tomorrow afternoon. So the dog walking forecast, you know what, the dogs may be panting a little extra tomorrow because we have more of that sunshine and walking around with the extra warmth, highs getting boosted up into the mid-70s underneath an overall partly cloudy sky, and it just gets warmer from there. So 82 degrees on Friday, for example, that would break the record of 80 on that day. We'll still be around 80 over the weekend. Record highs over the weekend are up into the mid-80s, so that may be safe for those couple of days. But notice this stretch of warm weather is going to last through about early next week, so soaring about 20 plus degrees above the average high, which is only 61 still these days. All right, so waking up to some clouds with more sunshine north and west of Charlotte early tomorrow morning. Areas of fog, back to more sunshine in the afternoon with leftover clouds up in the mountains. And then the clouds fill back on in again for Thursday morning and then start to break apart a little more again later into the afternoon. So more breaks of sunshine, going to be a nice finish to the week. Well, I will say this, though, on Friday, so moisture increases a little more. By later in the afternoon, we could start to pick up on a couple of scattered showers up in the mountains. And then here comes the approach of this next front for the weekend. We need some rain. It doesn't look like a lot. No washouts on the way if you have any outside plans. But just know, especially for you all up in the mountains, a higher elevation Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, too. That's where you have the better chance of rain, maybe a storm in the mix, too, with more warmth and a little more instability. And a few spotty showers will be possible into Sunday afternoon as well. All right, so the 7-day forecast shows warm stretch right on through 7 days from now. And it's spring forward time. The time change happening this weekend. So those clocks go ahead 1 hour Saturday night, early Sunday.
Clocks are going to say it, and so is the weather. It's going to say spring. All right, thanks, Tara. A town treasure hunt and how it's set an Ohio community into searching for a prize. Hey, the Hornets are searching for a prize tonight. Gia, here with more on CSL tonight.
I know, spoiler alert, they might have gotten it. The Hornets welcomed in the Dallas Mavericks to town, and Charlotte were eyeing their 5th straight win, and we have more on that. Plus, we're 100 days away from the biggest tournament in the world, the FIFA World Cup, and we brought in a legend to help us break down what we'll see. All of that and more coming up in just a few minutes.
Sounds good. We'll see in just a little bit, Gia. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. There's a lot of buzz over a treasure hunt worth tens of thousands of dollars in a small Ohio town. Businesses around Newton Falls chipped in to create the event, growing the original $1,000 jackpot to a pool of $30,000. Clues for the hunt are released every 2 weeks until the treasure's found. And there are a total of 10 clues, with the first one online today.
This isn't going to be something easy. This is going to be something that people are going to have to commit and a little bit more dedicated to as far as hunting for the treasure.
Business owners got the idea from TikTok. The treasure hunt is aimed at highlighting local shops and town landmarks. You're watching Queen City News, the most honored and the most local news in Charlotte. We'll be right back with the final check of your pinpoint forecast, followed by Carolina Sports Live. Download the Queen City News Plus app on your smart TV using either a Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire device. Carolina Sports Live coming up next at 11. And in a new order in the court, Chief Legal Analyst Colleague Rhodes and myself, we discussed the legal fight over the I-77 expansion project. And on a new morning edition, our team discusses the rise of prediction markets. Watch it all on our new Queen City News Plus app, Tara.
All right, check that weather. It's chilly out there tonight still. We're going to be waking up to 40s in the morning. Some of you are already in the 40s, but some clouds around to start, especially south and east of Charlotte. Maybe a little patchy fog too, but tomorrow afternoon, much brighter, much warmer, 75 degrees. Check out those 80s heading into the weekend.
That's going to make for a nice weekend. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tara. Thanks for joining us tonight. CSL coming up next.
Thank you.